reputation is everything. Nurture that and make sure that you continue to build that in a compelling and impactful way. Just go for it. Beta is better than perfection.
That's right.
What is the worst that could happen?
Okay, imagine being able to tap into the mind of a senior executive, a C-suite. Well, today I'm speaking with Amanda, ex-Chief Marketing Officer with over 25 years of experience under her belt. Today she'll be sharing her journey and learnings from reaching the pinnacle of corporate marketing, then her learnings pivoting into the founder of Dear Thrive. We'll explore what it means to be a connector, the importance of building genuine relationships, resilience, and authenticity when it comes to networking and also building your own character. Let's go. Amanda, first question here. Prior to going live, I would have introduced your career, what you have done, but it's really just on paper. But, you've led marketing teams in household brands. You've climbed the ranks to a CMO. You have a current advisory capacity, and then you've now pivoted into a founder role leading Dear Thrive. Now, that was my introduction to you, but how would you define yourself today?
It's a interesting question because I think it evolves every day, right? And
Yeah.
I think it was easy to define when you had a corporate career because what people tend to do is, this is my role, this is the type of business I work in,
Yep.
whereas now it's vastly different. So I would say now I am a connector. I sort of am heartened by the things that I'm doing to make a difference in someone's life, right?
Right.
I want people to help. I want to help people find the best versions of themselves. So, yes, I've had a corporate career for, 20 to almost 20 years. I'm showing my age now to your audience. I spent, a decade and a little bit more in the States, in the UK, working for, a variety of different brands. I came back to Australia working for brands like What If and Expedia, for Gumtree and eBay, working in different categories from motors to disability tech. So I've done quite a bit, and I would say today I've built myself a bit of a portfolio career outside of building a startup. And that would be everything from growth advisory work through to board roles,
Yep.
through to coaching, and sort of consulting and other advisory pieces, as well as the startup as well.
Amazing. And for those who are listening that don't know what a connector is, could you just give a little bit of context? What is a connector? What does that mean?
So if you think about how hard networking is,
Oh, for sure.
it's really hard, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't underestimate the value of building relationships with people and deeper connections with
Yep.
people. And so as you're building a startup, as you're thinking about a side hustle, as you're building a reputation in your corporate career as well, the value of being able to connect with like-minded people, with people that might be able to help you with your career is really important.
Yeah.
And so if I think about moving from my corporate career to a startup, the value of those relationships has been really critical in driving that success, in
Yep.
finding your next advisory role, your board role, or whatever that is. And so then the value of being able to get warm introductions and then being able to connect like-minded people is kind of what I enjoy doing, right?
Yeah.
I've heard about a skill set of someone here. How about you talk to this person? How about you, find this expertise in particular person?
Yeah.
So I'm hopefully a person that connects different people together.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. I'd say that networking, there's kind of two streams of thoughts here. So the first stream, ridiculously hard, very, very hard. And some people learn the theoreticals of, I want to be a networker, I want to be a connector. So what I'm going to do is just try to connect with everyone on LinkedIn. I'm just going to try to sell every single time. And that's not the deeper connection, and that's not how you can be a real connector. So the point that you made around building more genuine, deeper connections, is really that true value proposition there, the true impact that you can create. And then obviously the impact that you create for the people in your portfolio, the people that you speak to, people trust you. People trust you on both sides. And when you're connecting these two people together, it's valuable. It's stronger relationships.
It's funny that you say that, and you know, you as someone who has done this in sales, B2B sales, you know how hard it is to do cold calling and reaching
Yeah,
people on LinkedIn. It's freaking hard.
it's hard.
And you don't get the responses most of the
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah,
It's a bit of a slog. So just imagine if you meet certain people and you have added value to that fleeting relationship, people are going to remember you.
yeah,
Right. And even if you're starting out in your career, one of the best pieces of advice I give people
yeah,
is if you hear one of the leaders in your organization speak, for example, if you've had a great connection with a colleague, they've done a great job on a project or something like that, go out of your way to say thank you.
just say
Go out
something.
of your way to
Yeah,
say something
yeah,
exactly that it could be as basic as, oh, I loved your presentation about X.
yeah,
This is what I've taken away from you, and I've started to apply Y, right?
yep, yep,
Something as simple as that opens the door. It gets you remembered when you aren't in the room. So when opportunities come up, they'll go, oh, have you thought about so and so? I
yeah,
remember them from X.
yes.
And the idea is to build your reputation, is start to find those little nuggets that are, become your superpower that gets you remembered.
Yeah, 100%. It's super interesting because as you were telling that, I was reflecting back, and I know that especially early in your career, there is such a mental barrier. You know, you join, let's say you join a company, you hear your C-suite make an announcement, you hear them at a talk, and there is this fear of reaching out and asking a question, or there is this inherent fear of wanting to walk up to them and just have a conversation with them because you're new. You don't want to mess things up. You know, you want to kind of like be perceived as perfect in a way, right? But once you can get over that hurdle, you'll realize that I think it's just another person. And if you're coming with the intention of just building a genuine connection, most, like 95% of the people that you meet will be more than happy to open a conversation with you and just to have a nice chat. Then when you add that second layer of adding value, then they'll remember you. And in the future, like you said, in the next couple of years, next couple of months, when something comes up, when there's something that's relevant for them, for you, you've now opened the doors to start that conversation. And that's so impactful. And because it's not instant gratification per se, some people don't really think about it. They don't really think, oh, this is something that I should be spending my time in. But it is so, so, so powerful.
It's actually a behavior shift
Mm.
because I have to be honest, I've been a leader for a long time,
Yeah.
and if you've been to events and seen presentations and things like that, 99% of the time, you don't know how your presentation has landed. You don't know how engaged people are, right? Unless
Yeah,
you
right. Right.
visibly see them leaning
Right.
in. So, and leaders have ego, right? And so
Right.
for you as a junior person, taking the effort to reach out to say, this is what I've learned from you. I loved what you did about why.
Yeah.
Leaders love that. They will
Interesting.
lap that up because
Yeah.
they don't often get that feedback, right? And so
Right.
it's really valuable to hear that two-way feedback. So if you just switch your mindset and go, actually, I think it would be great for obviously from my personal brand to lean in and speak to a leader, but they're getting the same thing out of me, right? And equally, don't underestimate the value of learning that someone can get from you. You've got a
Mm.
different skill set as someone earlier in their career
Yeah.
because you are a sponge. You're learning everything.
Yeah.
And the mindset of a leader quite often is I've done a lot. I don't need to learn all that much. But
Yeah.
to be honest, and this is what happens in startups, you're constantly learning.
Yeah.
And so just have that mindset of you're going to be able to teach them something.
Yeah.
You're giving them feedback, which is really powerful. And it's leading you to become someone that's building a reputation in that organization, in a networking
Yeah.
event, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And the last one is, after you've built that muscle a few times, don't be then afraid to go, can I buy you a coffee? This is what I'd love to learn from
Yeah.
you. People love that too. But you have to build that reputation first. You can't do it cold.
Okay. I love that actually. The mindset shift is huge. I think you're absolutely correct. It's something that I never considered back then when I'd always look at them and I see them in one light and it's like you're right. You're like, oh, okay, I'm junior, I'm new. What value can I bring? But if you flip that thought process, it will make things significantly easier. Now, all right. So Amanda, you mentioned the times that you've been a leader for a long time. You've presented multiple times. I think this is a really good segue. I guess maybe thinking a little bit back, reflecting back of it in your career. What other challenges do you think that you faced throughout your career that maybe is unexpected that people don't expect to hear from someone that has had such a successful career trajectory?
Lots of things. So if I think about early career, even going back to doing my HSC, I didn't get the marks that I want, and I thought I'm going to do psychology. That was my thing.
Psychology, yeah.
Didn't get there. I put arts as my next choice. And I was like, what am I going to do with arts?
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I said I'm not going to do that.
Right. Yeah.
I then went to TAFE and did hospitality.
Yep.
Very, very random start. And then, finally went back to uni and whatever else. I landed a role in HR, but I think I always wanted to be in sales and marketing.
Yep.
And so I ended up taking a role where I was able to get sponsored in the States.
Oh, amazing.
Which is, amazing start. But my earning capacity then was $25,000. That's how much I earned. And they sponsored me. So, it's so weird.
Yeah.
But how are you gonna sustain yourself on that, moving overseas and things like that? So I ended up taking a job working under the table, which probably would have impacted my visa, but I did it anyway.
Right.
And so even early back then, you just figure things out. Right.
Yeah.
And you just
make it work.
You just make it work. You just be open to new opportunities. And I think not only the working hard, but building those relationships early is really important in your early career. So I was able to move up quite quickly. Ended up being in the States for about almost 12 years overseas in total. And then I managed to get relocated back to Australia. And built my career in marketing over that time, and was in the States where I was working for a new leader.
Yep.
And I had my 2 kids in the States. My first child, I had moved cities, so I was living in LA at the time. I moved to San Diego for my husband's role. In my maternity leave in the States, 3 months only, really, really short period of time. And I had to re-interview for my job.
Yep.
I had a new boss. I had to move cities. I had to leave the country to renew my visa. And at that time, I didn't think anything of it. You just
do it. Yeah.
Resilience. I don't think what I went through then would ever happen now. You'd probably be able to sue for that, right? But it happened.
Yeah.
Now, I managed to build my reputation. The boss that I had to re-interview with, he looked after me for years to come. He is still, 15 years on, 20 years on. He was my sponsor, I suppose. He ended up relocating me back to Australia, then finding my job at What If, which then got bought by Expedia. And so back then it was an awful experience, but perseverance, resilience, all of the things is what kind of carried me through.
Yeah.
And then I have been through, difficult health challenges. I've been through redundancy. I've changed categories. But in all of those things, the whole building your network, building those relationships, adding value first are the things that gets you remembered, because the reputation that you build early on sustains you over a period of time where people remember you years on. And this is where you get your referrals for new jobs, for new promotions, and things like that, that you don't instantly see. It
Yeah.
takes time to build that reputation, but that is the one thing that you have to consider as you're doing business with new people, as you're making new friendships and things like that. I mean, I'd go as so far as to say it's basic human courtesy, right? So if
Yeah.
you are saying you're going to do something, freaking do it.
Just do
If
it.
you are,
Yeah.
you don't want to
Yeah.
be the one that's consistently late, doesn't turn
Yeah.
up to meetings or whatever. Your reputation is everything.
Yeah.
Nurture that and make sure that you continue to build that in a really compelling and impactful way.
I love that. So I think that the three key points here that I took away: relationship building, building resilience, and then really kind of just building your brand. Those three were the three big pillars that kind of drove you from where you were going through all that hardship to where you are today. I want to really touch on these ones a little bit deeper. Just so then I want to get some of these examples fleshed out. So let's talk about relationship building, the resilience that you shared that story, and that makes total sense. Relationship building, we're like, theoretically it makes sense. Add value in your interactions. Be there, show up, and when you build relationships in a corporate environment, in a business environment, a professional environment, it's brand building as well. But can you share an example, Amanda, of how you built that relationship with that leader that supported you, with someone else where you yielded those fruits? Like, what did you do specifically?
So the example that I gave earlier on around reaching out to a leader,
Yep.
Expressing, how great they did in a presentation, they're tiny things that you can start to do, right?
Yep.
So that's the first thing. Build that habit.
Yep.
I already gave you the example of the person who's my sponsor, and
Yes.
to be honest, that is about working smartly, doing a great job with what you do. And I'm not just saying working at ridiculous hours and things like that, but it's being purposeful and meaningful in the things that you do.
Yeah.
It's making sure that as small things when you're starting out in your career, build these great habits like the showing up, like being organized for meetings, like building agenda, like showing the work that you're doing and the impact that you're making. So
Yep.
those small things will start to compound over time, just like, money and compound interest, they will
Yep.
compound over a period of time. And I would even say small interactions that you make with people where you're making a difference. And when I say making a difference, it's, like I said, this is what I'm learning from you, or this is what I've heard from you and this is how I've applied it. Or I remember what you said about XYZ and looping back a month's time or something like that and saying, this is what what I've done. People
Yeah.
love that because
Yeah.
they have felt like they have made a difference
Yeah.
and you will be remembered. So one of the advisory roles that I have was actually someone that worked as a competitor of mine
Okay.
many, many years ago.
Yep.
And we had met through a warm introduction.
Yep.
Right. And because, again, I built my reputation previously where someone felt open enough to say, actually, you've made a meaningful, life IP to put my reputation on the line and introduce you to someone, because
Yep.
you won't do that to someone that's let you down. Right.
Yep.
And that was years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago now. And she had contacted me late last year and said, I'm having real struggles finding a person for this role. I would love you to just come and help me do X. I'm still advising for that company now and hopefully making a meaningful change. And the person I'm working with now is just so grateful because I can get in there, I can get stuff done, really clear on the value I add. And
Yeah.
that's part is, how do you get to value very quickly in
Yep.
the interactions that you have that then, again, cements your reputation.
This is going to be an interesting question to ask following from that. But do you think somebody that wants to start building this, should they be trying to think about it as an objective? Like, I've got goals, I want to be perceived as somebody that adds value, or should you really build the character to inherently be someone that goes, this is how a good interaction is. This is what value, like this is value interaction between individuals. This is great. Like I do you understand what I'm trying to ask you? It's a bit of a tricky question to tweeze out.
If you are not authentic to who you
Authentic is the
are,
question that was stuck on my tongue.
yeah.
Authenticity, that's the
If
one.
you're not authentic to who you are, cracks are going to start to show,
People
right?
say it.
And if you, I mean, look, sure, it's absolutely fine and actually good that you've got a goal in mind,
Yeah.
right? This is what I want to achieve. I want to get to X and whatever else. But if you don't show up authentically,
Mm.
if you aren't genuine in your interactions, I mean, just like you find, right, when you're doing your B2B sales or reaching out to people on LinkedIn, if you aren't adding value to a conversation, you're not gonna get anywhere. It's really difficult, and so
Mm.
you have to build your reputation with genuine intent and authenticity. I mean, that's my personal view because. I don't think you can build a strong and solid reputation unless that's true to you. Look, you can be an a-hole, but that
Yeah.
is if that's a reputation you want to build
Right.
for aggressiveness and
Right.
that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
But you're being authentic to yourself.
Yeah, right. You're not creating a faux identity just for the sake of it. And you know what? To your point, Amanda, you are absolutely correct. And maybe using a different example that we see here, I think about how people are craving genuine interactions now, right? We think about the online platforms, we think about LinkedIn, we think about the age of, say, AI and the amount of content that's just going out there at the moment. There are a whole heap of people who are just recycling content that they're finding online, pretending, and their guise is I'm sharing value, right? I'm giving value to my audience, but they're just copy and pasting content, pretending that it's theirs. They're just regurgitating what other people have been saying. They're being, in that case, disingenuous. It's not really them. They're just sharing content that they know has virality under the guise of adding value. And it's interesting that over time now, people see it. People notice it. People notice this is not that person. This is not really truly coming from their mouth. People are kind of looking through the cracks and really identifying, is this person being genuine and authentic about the kind of content, what they're saying. And so as soon as that happens, and I see this time and time again, and to be very frank as well, in my sales career, there have been moments where, I'm following a sales script and I'm like, let me add value to the prospect based on this script. And it backfires because I wasn't being that genuine about it. As soon as you lose that trust, it's gone. It's so hard. It's so hard to get back, and everything that you've built up to get to that point just diminishes. So that authenticity, the integrity piece of it is, I think it's tremendous. It means so much more than what I think people think.
I mean, you're lucky to even say if you've built a connection at all and then it switches to something less authentic.
Yeah.
You've got a recovery mechanism to say I've had a blip or whatever. But to be honest, AI generated content, it's a lot of white noise if you don't customize it to yourself. I mean, to be honest, I use AI every day.
Yeah.
Because
likewise, yeah.
It helps just craft a bit of a framework and helps you drive a bit more succinctness in your thoughts.
Yes.
But then you go back and obviously customize it to your own. But that's one thing. And I have started to create some events under my business, Dear Thrive, and that's the platform I'm creating.
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of predominantly mid-career professionals, right? So some that have already started their careers, maybe later managers and early C-suite business people, individuals as well.
Yeah.
And the feedback that I've been getting is that the learning from genuine experts where I can actually converse with someone, bounce ideas, get new thoughts and innovative, fresh thinking.
Yeah.
There's so much more value in that than just, you're hearing so much around ChatGPT being used as a psychologist, for example.
Right. Yeah.
Look, it can be a starting point.
Yeah.
But replacing that with genuine connection or genuine learning from people that have done this ahead of you, you're not going to see, you're not going to be seeing so much nuance that you get, getting straight out of ChatGPT, for example.
For sure. There's definitely a human element there, and I agree with you. I use ChatGPT. I use multiple large language models in my day to day as well. But you're right, it cannot replace that genuine experience that somebody has. It doesn't have that. It doesn't have that understanding, that deep context that a genuine advisor or somebody who's been there, done that, been in the field, that person can share with those experiences. I love that. I want to go through some quick fire questions. Essentially, what I do here is I ask a couple of questions, and I want to give the audience take home insights that they can kind of maybe use straight away, and maybe they can timestamp this and go straight here next time they watch this this podcast. But are you ready for it?
Go for it.
Awesome. First question. And this is going to be great because you advise so many companies as well. So what is the most important skill, trait, or experience you think that every founder, or maybe going a little bit back, an aspiring founder should have in their toolbox?
So I have already mentioned the resilience piece, right?
Yeah.
And as you go through your, I suppose, the pivoting journey, even if you're starting a side hustle or obviously your startup, the highs are really high, but the lows are really low.
Yeah.
And the highs are high, but also quite fleeting, right?
Yeah.
So the lows are really low. So how do you start to be able to normalize what you're thinking and feeling? I am not a technical person. I'm a marketer by background. Obviously, given my background, some technology experience, but no coding developer mindset. So that has been quite challenging, but this is what I was saying about reputation and networking, that if you can't do it yourself, you need to surround yourself with people that you can. Your ability and your spidey senses to be able to build trust with people and rapport with people quickly is important.
Yeah.
And what you find in a startup, and I've definitely found this, is not everyone is going to be as genuine and obviously committed to your business as you're going to be. Eventually you're going to have to start paying people, because if you don't pay people for their time and their expertise, they're not going to have that level of commitment, and you're going to have been wasting hours of your time training, bringing them on, on the journey and things like that. At some point, you've just got to go, right, I'm going to pay you. You're going to surround. I need to surround myself with people that are better than me at certain areas. I would say, don't sweat the small stuff either. You've got bigger things to give things a go, right? And freaking just give things a go.
Just go for it, right?
Just go for it. Beta is better than perfection.
That's right. Yeah. So I want to really quickly touch on, we've had a great discussion around resilience here, and also I want to touch on don't sweat the small stuff. Do you, if somebody is sweating, let's say you're mentoring somebody and they're really bogged down on the small stuff, or another example being, they're struggling with the lows. Do you have maybe frameworks or thought processes or anything that you share to kind of help them get through that, or at least build that resilience, or build a kind of like a nice fundamental framework to not sweat or to prioritize what's small, what's big, etc.? It's two questions in one.
Yeah. Maybe a couple of things.
Yeah.
I would first say, what is the worst that could happen? So I do have some frameworks around thinking about the worst and then envisaging the best.
Yep.
What if something actually goes right? Right. How is that going to change your life in 2 weeks' time, in 6 months' time, in 2 years' time, right?
Yep.
So there are some frameworks around that too. And then I guess the path to resilience is also making sure that you have captured all of the awesome things that you've done, because quite often we all get hit by imposter syndrome. You're in a room full of really smart people, you're pitching to investors, whatever that looks like, and you go, I'm not good enough. How do you stop those voices? Well, one of the best things is obviously the whole reflection exercise where I keep a brag log. So you start
A brag log.
capturing
Yep.
things in a SAW or STAR story framework. So
Yep.
situation, observation, action, and then results, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
even if you're interviewing for a job or you're doing a presentation,
Yeah.
whatever that is,
You can pull that
sometimes
out. Yeah.
whipping that out, going, okay,
Yeah.
for this thing I've started or my past career, these are the 5 things, the 20 things that I've done. They can be big, small, they can be interactions, they could be achievements, whatever that is. But you just whip that out and go, right, I have done a lot.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
just have a think about the things that I've already learnt,
Yeah.
and that will help guide you for those little humps along the way.
I think like sometimes you just need somebody else to tell you that, right? That's like I think that's the power of having advisors or someone on your side to help you. Because I help my partner. She's a software engineer at the moment. And she when she does her interviews or her preparation, she gets very bogged down, going, "Oh my God, like this isn't for me. This is too hard. I don't know what I'm doing. I am lost." And every single time she says that, I go up to her and I'm like, "Okay, cool. Let's just take a step back. What project are you working on today? What's been happening?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah." I'm like, "Oh, that's fantastic." And then I get her to like, share her stories. What has she done? What did she deliver? Right?
Beautiful.
And then she realizes by the end of that, she goes, "Oh, okay, you know what? I actually know what I'm doing." And the best part is, I tell her exactly to your point, Amanda. Okay, now write that down in the star format so you can use this in the future because that's going to
Love
be
it.
valuable. But I completely agree there because, even in sales, imposter syndrome comes up all the time. I had this conversation with another guest who is one of the top 1% performers in her company, and she falls through the same thing. And we both agreed that, when you just reflect and just go into this like bragging mode, think about your wins, right? Write it down, read it out loud, think about it. And once you do that, a lot of those voices do start getting buried out. You go, "Wow, I have had these conversations and do know what I'm talking about. Yes, I've delivered this project. Yes, I've done this. Let's not get too carried away with my thoughts." And that helps so much more than people think. And I think just having somebody tell you that, and an external force to push that onto you, that really kind of just opens your mind a little bit, because people can easily just, get too deep into that rabbit hole of negative thoughts.
A few things I'd say there is you don't need anyone telling you that, right?
Yeah.
And I think the job that you do for your partner is, it sounds like you are taking a sort of coaching role.
Okay.
And a coaching role is never about you telling someone what to do.
Mm.
It's actually helping them realize their limiting beliefs, realizing that they actually have the resources in themselves to be able to make changes, to be able to realize the great stuff that they've already done.
Mm.
You just give them a jolt. You just give them fresh perspective to be able to think a little bit differently. I've got lots of sort of coaching techniques and things like that you can apply to things. But a couple of things that come to mind is sometimes I get people to do something called the circle of control and influence. So think of three
Circle
different
of control and influence. Yep.
think of 3 different buckets. One is something that's completely out of your control, right?
Okay. Yep.
The economy, the interest rate, what celebrities are doing. Who
Right.
cares? That's not in
Right.
your control, right? Then the things that you can influence,
Yep.
and then the things that are within your control. So you can't influence what your boss says to you. However, you can control how you react to what your boss says, for
Right.
example, right?
Yep.
And so what ends up happening is you visualize this, you start writing the things that are in those different buckets. You might find that you've got 50 things in the what's out of your control
Right.
list and only 2 things here. But really,
Yep.
the people that are proactive, the people who have a great positive growth mindset are playing in those first 2 buckets
Yep.
and not doing anything and parking in the last one. And the last one I'd say is there are lots of techniques that you can apply as well when you're delivering a presentation, when you're, doing all sorts of things to get you confidence. I mean, this is why sports players might have a lucky sock.
Mm,
Obama used to have a coaching technique where he'd rub his ear, right? And it was a jolt to say,
uh,
positive mindset. I'm reframing myself for this particular scenario.
okay. Yeah.
So there's lots of techniques that you can apply to get you in the right frame of mind.
I really like that. Three circles of influence. That's what you said, right? The three circles
Circle of influence and control.
circle of
Look
influence and
that up.
control. Yeah, I think that's really really cool. And I didn't know about Obama and the ear thing. That's super interesting. Is there any other examples that you have around the kind of I've seen it in movies. I've heard kind of like on the grapevine people have certain things, but any other examples that you could share? I think it'd be pretty interesting to look up.
Look, this is what I was saying about sports people and having their lucky socks or the
Yeah,
rituals and things like
yeah,
that. Now, I would say you don't necessarily want to rely on those
right,
things all the time,
right.
but if it helps trigger you to
Yeah,
be able to give you the confidence that you need, right? So it's
yeah,
whether it's touching like one of your habits might be touching your
right.
elbow or something like that. If it's just a trigger to
You're
go,
just
right,
creating a
I'm
trigger.
in the
Got it.
100%.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
You can train your brain to be able to do that and put
Yep.
yourself in a great frame of mind.
I think you should go back and finish an MBA in psychology. It's
Well,
perfect.
these are
These are
all
the techniques.
psychology
That's
techniques.
right. Exactly. Awesome. I have one last question here, which is really around your plans for the future. So tell me a little bit more, Amanda. You've kind of shared your experiences in your career experiences. You've shared some really cool insights for people who have kind of came up with these kind of common challenges starting up. You're in an advisory role. What's happening now? What are you doing with Dear Thrive? Share a little bit more there. Looking ahead.
Mm. So thank you for mentioning Dear Thrive. So my startup is a platform where I connect working professionals to advisory and coaching support. And I probably at this stage have about 50 odd coaches and advisors on the platform, everything from one end of the spectrum, professional coaches. My prerequisite is they always have to have some sort of corporate career so they understand the challenges of people in
Okay.
in corporate environments, or at least been on the tools.
Yep. Yep.
And so that could be everything from working with people who are neurodiverse, with working parents, with sort of practical career support. I even have a couple of people who focus on identity or
Okay.
style, like how
Right.
you show up wearing the clothes that you do,
Oh,
right?
okay. Yep.
It's pretty
Yep.
awesome.
It's everything. It's
It's
everything.
everything through the
Yeah.
other end of the spectrum about building your personal brand,
Okay.
about strategy, operations, marketing, growth,
Right.
sales, etc. And the idea is that you are different personas in your life. You're going to be facing different challenges. One week it could be, actually, I need to do a presentation to my entire office or to a board. So I need to upskill on my communication skills, my storytelling. Another week it could be, I actually need to upskill in my data and AI capabilities or my commercial acumen. The
Yep.
next would be, I'm dealing with a particular project. How do I deal with difficult stakeholders? So I have a bunch of different people that an individual can connect with.
Yep.
And the idea is that you have full choice and control of a number of different skill sets to be able to tap into. So it's like your personal brain's trust.
Yep. Yep.
And so if I think about my superpower, it is being that connector. It's getting shit done.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can feel my energy. It's being sort of positive and helping people try to find the best versions of themselves. So I guess my future is, how do I impact more people? I
Okay.
use
Yep.
AI. I really believe that human experience is really valuable. And so if I can merge the two together, that's my nirvana, so I can help more people.
Ah, that's amazing. And if I was somebody that wanted to enter the Dear Thrive community, what does it look like? Does it look like a ongoing subscription that I have to pay for? Is it a pay per session? Just so that I have a clearer idea of how I can utilize this and work together with you and all the people that you have in on your panel.
So you can do both. I'm just about to launch a community platform where I've
Okay.
got whole bunch of different content. And as I said to you, I started to do these face-to-face events as well. And so
Yep.
a lot of the advisors, you can come in and ask anything on
Yep.
this community platform. You can obviously ask questions and engage. You can do as pay-as-you-go scenario, or you can actually buy a full subscription where you get it's almost like a credit model where you can get access to, a data and AI specialist today, a communication coach next week, a visibility specialist the next week after, right?
Yep. Yep.
So you've got choice and control that's fully yours.
So if somebody wants to go in and do a couple of sessions on very, very specific problems or areas where they'd want to improve, they could go in, pay as you go, or they can go and get a subscription and just kind of utilize get as much out as possible during that time. That's
100%,
amazing.
you got it right.
Amazing. All right. And Amanda, is this self-service? What's the best way to kind of check out the platform and, get in touch?
Yeah, you can self-serve. So you can sign up for free. You can have a look at all of the coaches. You can have a look at the hours of content that we've already got there. You can attend one of our events. Yep. Or if you want a bit more personalized matching, that's when you go to a subscription, and then our team can actually personally go, right, give us your challenges. I think X, Y, and Z coaches would be perfect for you.
Amazing. I love the flexibility also, because sometimes I hate finding a product that I really like and then realizing there is only one avenue, which is go and talk to our sales team. It's like, oh, I don't really want to. Yes. And you just drop off. But you giving that option and multiple options is fantastic. And I think it's fitting for anyone in different parts of their kind of life or career stages as well. Amanda, it's been a pleasure having you on. I just wanted to wrap up. Do you have any final thoughts, any final takeaways that you wanted to share with the audience as a kind of a parting gift or parting wisdom based on everything we've spoken about today?
If I was to speak to my earlier self 20 years ago.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Probably the couple of things that I'd say would be, we've already talked about reputation and resilience. That's the big one.
Yep.
But the other big one I'd say is get your finances in order. If I had said to myself, save money, start investing early, the value of compound interest over time is so valuable as you're late in, your career. I had started to do a lot of different things earlier on. I mean, I'm by no means wealthy, but I have done a few things where I'm now able to take some risks in my life.
Yep.
You can't take any risks unless you've got financial security, unless you can pay your mortgage, put food on the table, whatever that is. You can't take any risks until you've got that done.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people say put 3 or 6 months in the bank. I've just said at least a couple of years in terms of, savings or being able to pay for your expenses. Yep. Because you can do so much more
with the flexibility,
with having that the finances out of your mind.
Yeah, this is honestly just not mentioned enough. People just do not talk about this. They talk about the big numbers. They talk about the big wins. It's just one of those core fundamentals which continues to surprise me that in this day and age, it's not something that's just a part of core curriculum for everybody, which is absolutely insane. And I'm keeping this a little bit high level because this is a whole topic that we can dig and dive into, but it's so important. So I cannot agree more.
You're so right. It doesn't get taught in your corporate career or your career holistically. You've got to search out the way you get the knowledge for personal financial literacy. And even going to a financial advisor, who do you go to if you needed to lean into there too? Actually, I have someone for that too.
Oh, fantastic!
So I'm doing an event where one of our coaches is actually a financial advisor.
Oh, that's great! Yeah.
Which is good because I want to tackle wholesale the things that you don't normally get access to. It's important that you start to build your knowledge, and again, start trying. Right, start doing some experimentation.
Yep. Because
you never know what small bets might start to pay off, and even small bets will compound over your years of career history.
Yeah, no, completely. Amanda, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and look forward to maybe another chat in the future. But this has been amazing, so that's been great.
No worries. Nice to chat to you, Anthony. Take care.
Nice to chat, Amanda. Did you guys enjoy that episode? Tune into our podcast fortnightly, where I interview extraordinary people doing extraordinary things, sharing their insights and their stories about entrepreneurship. So whether you're aspiring, whether you're already doing your own thing, or experimenting while hustling at your 9 to 5, this one is for you guys. And if you like what you're hearing, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, follow us on our socials below, and we'll see you next time.